Welcome to YourHitchcockMovies.com. We are your hosts, Jeff and Diane, and this is movie number 19 from 1940, Foreign Correspondent. After Rebecca and Jamaica Inn, we're back into some familiar territory. Aspiring, chase, romantic thriller with some comedic bits. We've got Foreign Correspondent. So during the filming of Rebecca, it really became apparent to Alfred Hitchcock and David O. Selznick that working together was going to be very, very difficult. Simply put, Selznick liked to control every aspect of film production, and with Alfred Hitchcock preferring to control his own destiny, and each being very, very good at what they do. Their records speak for themselves. So something had to give during this 7-year contract. So as Rebecca was being filmed, Selznick considered loaning Alfred Hitchcock out to another producer to do movies outside of his studios. This is something that we hear about all the time from this era, the studio era, with so-and-so actor being loaned out to this studio to do this movie, or such and such actress was unavailable for this perfect role because her studio refused to loan her out. The actors and directors and actresses signed these big long deals with studios, with RKO or MGM or whatever, Selznick Productions, and that was it. You were owned by them, you were paid a salary by them, and you did their bidding. And they had a lot of power, the studios did. So enter Walter Wanger. Very interesting fellow. It's worth looking him up on Wikipedia. Walter Wanger actually shot a suspected lover. He suspected his wife was having an affair with some guy, shot him and went to jail. He was a movie producer like David O. Selznick. He ended up producing one of our favorite movies, I Want to Live. That's a great movie. Walter Wanger had purchased the rights to a political memoir written, he purchased the memoir in 1935. The memoir was called Personal History, and it was written by a war correspondent named Vincent Sheehan, and basically spent the next 5 years trying to turn this thing into a screenplay, trying to make it into a movie, and I understand that 16 different writers over time were brought in, and he's spending all this money trying to turn it into something, and it just wasn't going anywhere. He finally got the idea to maybe turn it into something about spies and intrigue and what was going on with Europe at the time in 1939 and 1940, and with the idea being about spies and intrigue, he thought of Alfred Hitchcock, who of course has got a black belt in spies and intrigue at this point with 39 Steps and Sabotage and Secret Agent and all these great movies, all these great espionage thrillers. So Walter Wanger asked Selznick could he meet with Hitchcock to talk about a project, and Selznick probably said, perfect, sure. And boy, after having lunch, Alfred Hitchcock and Walter Wanger went back to their separate corners. They were both giddy with delight at the prospect of doing this project together, which is pretty cool, and the rest is history. There still wasn't much of a story, though, from this book, or this memoir. So Hitchcock asked if he could bring aboard his friend Charles Bennett, who we haven't seen in a little while, and have his personal secretary Joan Harrison work on the script, which they did. And pretty much they could do whatever they wanted. Walter Wanger only just wanted to make sure it was about a foreign correspondent, and he also really wanted it to be up to date. He wanted it to be current events, up to date, about what was going on in Europe. And so boy, Alfred went back to finish up Rebecca with this spring in his step. Nobody really knew what was going on. He probably couldn't say anything, and to move on. So what did they come up with? Well, a movie that was nominated for Best Picture. That's 2 if you're counting for Alfred Hitchcock in the same year. Nominated for 6 Oscars. Rebecca was nominated for 11 Oscars, so 17 Oscar nominations for movies Alfred Hitchcock did in his very first year in Hollywood. Not too shabby. And the film itself set really present day. We'll talk about that more at the end of the movie. But current events in Europe, what was going on with Hitler and the Nazis, and now it's getting serious and all that sort of thing. And we have the editor at a fictitious newspaper in New York called the New York Globe. Well, he's complaining because his foreign correspondent, the guy he has working for him in Europe, is not giving him any information. He sends a telegram saying there's no chance of war, and it was a week before World War II started when Britain declared war on in Germany. So he assigns someone else, someone with a fresh face, fresh ideas, a clear, unused mind, a little bit of dialogue that's clever in the movie, who has no European experience, and he wants him to go to Europe and get me some facts. And pretty much get me information about the crisis in Europe, and the movie goes on from there. That's all the background we need. So our actor playing this new green correspondent is Joel McCrea. Joel McCrea was in a million movies. You'll probably recognize him. He was in a million westerns. Over the year in these westerns, he played Wyatt Earp. He played Buffalo Bill Cody. He played Sam Houston. And he also he had great cowboy names in some of these movies. Wes McQueen, Del Rockwell, Marshal Mike Dunbar, Sheriff Tom Benning. I mean, these are all characters he plays. He was also in plenty of non-westerns too, including Foreign Correspondent. You know, it's too bad Hitchcock never made a western. That would have been something. We'll talk about him doing the screwball comedy next week. But anyways, our leading lady is Lorraine Day. She had a long career in the movies. Well, wait a second. No, not blonde. She's not blonde in this movie. And television. She had a great career in television. She was also in a number of westerns as well. In this film, her father is played by someone we're familiar with, Herbert Marshall, who we remember from the movie Murder. He played Sir John. He plays her father. George Sanders is in this movie. We just saw him in Rebecca. He was the evil cousin Jack in Rebecca. Excellent. We love that guy. Two more people of note in this movie. Two more actors. There's a bodyguard that isn't in the movie a lot, but you'll see him. That is Edmund Gwynn, who was Mr. Hornblower in The Skin Game. He's in this one, and he also features very prominently in the movie to come by Alfred Hitchcock, The Trouble with Harry. Edmund Gwynn is in this one. And lastly, Albert Basserman. Albert Basserman plays Van Meter. He wins an Oscar nomination for his role in this movie. He, like Peter Lorre, had to flee Nazi Germany in the 30s, and also like Peter Lorre, he spoke no English and delivers every line you see in this movie phonetically. So something to look for. Very cool. Whew, lots of people. There's also something interesting. I'm going to put out a little question out there, and the first person to leave a comment at the bottom of our webpage wins a prize. If you can tell us the actor who appeared in WKRP in Cincinnati in the 80s, he's in this movie. So let us know who that is, and that'll be fun. It must be pointed out that Alfred Hitchcock had complete control in this movie. He didn't get the actors he wanted. He wanted Gary Cooper and Barbara Stanwyck, but Gary Cooper didn't want to be in a thriller, a decision he later came to regret, and Barbara Stanwyck was unavailable. But boy, we're not too sorry with who they did get for this one. But boy, he had control over everything, spent a lot of money, a lot of lavish sets. This really is what Alfred Hitchcock can do in Hollywood. Really, really cool. So good. So let's watch this one. We're looking forward to it. So yeah, from 1940, Hitchcock's Foreign Correspondent. Let's watch.